Hi everyone. How's everybody doing today? We are just coming off of Valentine's Day and hopefully you felt loved and seen. It is an interesting thing the times that we live in right now, and I think so many people are not feeling loved and seen. Um I'm not sure what message Spirit is going to bring through for us. I'm kind of hoping it's something around that. But let's see what they most want us to know today. So they're actually starting with the talk around the fact that the collective energy has moved from a state of being what I had been interpreting as sort of a restoration state into a construction state. And so, to this point, I had been the last few months saying that all of the messaging I kept getting, everything that they wanted me to share and bring through was around this idea of reflecting and restoring the things in ourselves that we have not, that we let go of. Um, the things that we had kind of abandoned or forgotten about ourselves, the things that we were overlooking. And these are things that were like gifts, um, just positive attributes of who we are, special talents, our experiences and skills that give us that we've learned from so that we have these heightened abilities, like the special things that we have that we can use in a way that helps us to be more fulfilled while also serving and contributing to others. But it's interesting because they're making me feel like ooh, what I wanted to say was how it can be self-serving, and my human mind just blocked me from wanting to say that because I didn't want to say self-serving because I don't think any of us, and particularly anybody watching this, right, is going to want to think of ourselves as being self-serving or to do things that are self-serving. And so when I just right there censored myself and stopped myself from saying it that way, Spirit came in and they said to me, like, this is part of the issue for many that are on this enlightened path, that are being called to sort of lead or play more active roles, more pronounced roles. Those of us that are awakened, and I know there are some people that don't feel great about the whole term awakened or woke, right? Like that's been kind of bastardized into society and culture now, where that's like become like a bad thing, like a Karen, right? It's just the opposite end of it. Um, Yet that term awakened and to be in that enlightened state is actually really important. And despite what has happened to us in society or culturally around that word, the truth is that it doesn't change the fact that that's the human ideal human word for what many of us are finding ourselves in that path right now, in that it's not a path, it's like a role, They make me feel like certain ones of us have been called in to do and sort of be, I don't want to say space holders because it's certainly a lot more than being a space holder, but um like this is your role. I don't have another word for it besides that. But are to be these awakened ones, these enlightened ones. And so to know that the the things that we have been through and the things that so many of us have abandoned that are like positive good attributes, the, like I said, the things, the experiences, the skills, the knowledge that we have learned in this lifetime to this point, we're meant to use it, and yet it is meant to also serve us. They're saying that there's a a space of self abandonment when we don't allow us to benefit or receive from the things that make us unique, receive or benefit in a way that allows us to have our lives be easier and more pleasant and fulfilled, is what they're saying to me. There's still so many of us that are here in this time and space right now to that are called to be in this place where you are leading through example, and they're very clear about this. They're saying it's not necessarily like an out front leading and positioning. It just might be the way that you show up in the world and bring kindness and show kindness to strangers on a daily basis. It's not a particular role, or it's not like a profession or a career, or you don't have to have a platform that you're standing out front and kind of beating the drum or using the megaphone um to bring across, or doesn't have to be some big social justice thing. Know that the influence and the impact you have can be much quieter, much more subtle than that, and yet not less powerful than that. But they're saying that there's this severing, and so there becomes this state of self-abandonment when we don't allow ourselves to receive, when we don't allow ourselves to um they're saying that word self-serving again. When we don't allow our service, our abilities, our skills to also serve us, they're saying it's just another form of denying, mm, they use this in quotes, God his kingdom. Meaning that if all of life and all of expression, including you, is God, then by not denying things to serve you as well, you are then withholding God, creator, source from also fully experiencing all that they are, all that they deserve. When we deny ourselves what we deserve, we deny God by not seeing ourselves as part of God's creation, God's extension here in physical form. So, like I said, a lot of the messaging, a lot of the things that they have been bringing up has been about trying to get us into a place of being able to acknowledge the gift that we are, our skills, our goodness, the way that we contribute, our talents, like I said, our talents, our gifts, all those things. They've been wanting to rebuild that sense of self, that sense of goodness, that sense of divinity in us the last few months. And so to go back to where I started this, they're now saying we're now beginning to move, and they're making me feel like it's definitely going to be in this part of February, moving through into the beginning of March. We're moving into this phase of what is now meant to be construction rather than restoration. And it's interesting because many of you probably, well, maybe not. I have a background in construction, and I did a lot in construction and real estate development. And then my last sort of corporate job, big full-time employment job, was in the restoration industry. And so I moved from construction to restoration. They're talking about us moving from restoration into construction, which makes sense to me because the when there's a disaster in your home, in your office building, in your property, right? Let's say there's like a major water break, or here in Florida, we have hurricanes. So let's say a hurricane comes through and it floods everything. The restoration process is the removing of everything that has been damaged and cannot be restored. The or like the contents that can be restored, or some of the items in the home that maybe can be restored, but it's the removing of everything that cannot be. It's the drying out, it's the curing, it's the recognizing what can stay, what still has value. And then you move into the next phase of that, which is construction, even though it's really part of the restoration project. It's putting the home or the building back to, it can't be original state. It can never be the original state because now you are bringing in new, right? You're bringing in things that maybe, like materials and finishes and whatnot, that maybe didn't even exist at that previous point, for the stuff that had to be removed. So there's a building back of walls, there's floors, there's, installing all of the finish stuff. While it's an overarching thing of restoration, it's, for the most intensive purpose, a construction project and a construction zone. And so they're saying that this is the perfect analogy for this place where we all are, both in the collective, and also many of us are probably feeling internally. There's been kind of this gutting and removing of all the things that cannot be saved, that no longer have value, that have been ruined, destroyed, wounded, that just are not you anymore, right? That just no longer serve or are healthy or beneficial to being in your life. Think of your life and yourself, your internal life, your external life, as sort of the building or the home. So they're saying to me right now, for about the last 2 years, many of us witnessing, even in the collective, right? We're seeing this in our systems, in our governments, in our institutions, this clearing out, the removing, the destroying, the getting rid of all of these things that are not healthy, that have no more value, that are ruined, that just cannot be brought back, that just no longer hold value by staying in the building. And the last few months, to equate it back to this now analogy, what I was saying a few minutes ago to this analogy, has been that assessing of what can remain, right? Maybe the electrical can remain. Maybe you have studs in the walls that can remain. Maybe the exterior of the walls, the windows, all of that can remain. But you have to acknowledge it, you have to clean it up, you have to dry it, you have to take care of it, you have to sort of nurture it and give it its full recognition of the value that it still holds or has always held, but you just weren't seeing it because it was underneath sheetrock. Again, to kind of keep using this analogy. And so we're now in this phase where it's time to start putting back in these new things to construct this livable space, this functioning space again. And so that's what's happening in an energetic perspective. Like I said, that's all an analogy, but it's the analogy of understanding what's happening internally for you, as well as what we might be starting to witness collectively, even though they're telling me right now in the collective, it's going to take a lot longer, right? Than what's it's going to take for you individually to feel fully restored, built back, to have all that new construction completed. But to know that this period in time right now is the construction period. Okay. So for me, having been in the construction world, this part is always really fun because this is when we start to build back and you start to see the effects and all of the efforts of everything that you've been working towards and planning, finally, like the little glimpses, the little nuggets of what it's going to be in its end result. You're starting to finally see that coming back and coming in. um and like I said, for somebody that's been in construction, man, is that like, that's when you get re-energized again for the project. Because in a project, it can be really daunting, this kind of the ending of the setting up and the moving into the, but once you start getting that new stuff finally starting to come in and you're ready for that, man, that feels so good. And like I said, it's really re-energizing. And so know that if this has felt really daunting for you, that this energization, I don't know that that's a word, that is coming back in, and that you can look forward to having that experience of feeling re-energized again, of feeling this new energy really coming in and kind of inspiring you and enlivening you, is the word that they're saying to me. And yeah, so it's a lightening of the energy. They're saying there's still this feeling of kind of dauntingness, heavy responsibility, or feeling like there's still heavy work to be done. Like that is still there, but to have some of this like fresh air, this new energy come in around it is going to be helpful. It's going to feel like some relief. Again, just acknowledging that, yes, because they're saying it to me again, that you will still have this sense of kind of the heaviness in the background that's not totally lifted off most of you, many of you, including myself. Um, so don't get worried if that's still hanging around, if that's still there and feeling, um, like I said, it's like a heavy, I can like viscerally feel it right now. It's kind of like this little bit of heaviness. But I'm just asking right now if there's anything that they want to share that anybody can be doing. Because I'm a doer, I like to do, and I like to help people get, because I think it helps us feel like we're participating in the process, and relieve sometimes some of that angst for some of us when we feel like we can be doing something. So when I ask about what we can be doing, what they said to me was just be aware of sort of intuitive guidance, inspirational ideas that are coming to you to help create ease in this construction process. This construction process is new ideas, new information, new connections, new way of looking things. But it feels very much like the sort of intuitive hits, the inspiration is going to come from like having a book recommended or seeing the name of a particular book like show up repeatedly in your experience, right? There's wisdom and information, some kind of teaching that you're ready for now that'll be in there. That's not for everyone, but that is a primary example, and it's a pretty prevalent example, apparently, from what they're telling me, because they're saying that's going to apply to a lot of people. So, really be on the lookout for some kind of teaching, whether it's like another YouTube video from somebody that teaches on something, a course, an event, a book, something that's going to give you information and knowledge that's going to kind of help shift everything. So that's really what everyone can be on the lookout for to show up. They're saying again, these last couple weeks of February into the first week or so, because they're saying about like the next 3 weeks. So, over the course of the next 3 weeks, I want you to be on the lookout for some kind of book, course, speaker, teacher, whatever that is showing up. Um, Obviously, the algorithms hear you, so they're going to bring you ads for shit, but that's not necessarily it. Okay. Look maybe for things this to be repeated to you in random places, you overhearing somebody talking about it, somebody mentions it to you. There's like an ad in more of like a magazine, something that can't be controlled by the algorithms, hearing you talk about something, or hearing me, having you watching me talking about something. Right? Or having conversations. So it'll be showing up for you in flyers, in a poster, like I want to keep saying billboard, but it's probably more like a poster or something. So that's what you can be doing over the next 3 weeks, looking for this kind of. They make me feel like it's a big directional arrow. And you know how like on the this is how they just showed it to me. Like on the road, there's like a white V, upside down V, that's an arrow that you see painted on a road. That's how they showed it to me. So take that for whatever it's worth. But whatever this book, teaching, course, video, teacher is, that maybe even it's something that you've already been considering, but you're going to find signs to it, and it's going to be really important for you. So that is just a little bit of guidance for anybody that tunes in and watches this. Thank you so much for joining. I hope that you'll subscribe to my channel so you can always get the new videos and information that I put out there, that I sincerely hope make you feel loved and seen, not by me, but I inspire to do that as well. But by spirit, by creator, by source, know that your guides, your loved ones, um spirit, creator, God, source, is the universe, is with you at all times, is supporting you. They truly want you to have everything that you desire, and they want you to have a life of ease. I promise. But subscribe, share this video with friends. Don't forget to like, comment. I'd love for you to join me on my social media channels, also Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Siera, 1R, intuitively knows. Thank you so much, and everybody have a great week.